The information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing?
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
We are. It's got to be close to my birthday.
That's right.
Because we are back at Hangtown, and although you wouldn't know it right now, it's awfully quiet, isn't it?
It's.
Although we had to bring security with us. We had to bring our own security detail this time.
That's right.
They have been trying to throw us out of here. We must have the good seats finally for one time.
There's a lot of activity outside these windows, though.
That's for sure. How you doing? We are live. We are at the Prairie City Off-Highway Vehicle Park. If you don't know where that is, that's are we south of Highway 50, Prairie City Road. What's this one here, Pete? White Rock Road? Yeah, so Prairie City Off-Highway Vehicle Park. We are out here for a couple hours today, live in the Coors Light Tower for just a little bit till they throw us out. Although if they bring the beer in, we may stay a little bit longer. And the guy's looking at us like, no, you're leaving. So, Pete, you are carrying a weapon again, right? or a baton, okay. If we suddenly leave the air, it's because we were ejected from the space. Actually, quite frankly, this is the only spot you can find on the 100-plus acres that doesn't have motorcycles running right up your back end. So we're going to do our show as normal this morning, at least for the first hour. And then hour two, we might have a few guests pop in, see how the day goes. It gets a little crazy out here. We came out last night about 5 o'clock and actually set up in advance. And it was a fairly decent sign. Usually when John and I come in here about 8-ish, you can pretty much drive right in and not a big deal. And already this morning the traffic was backed up.
Right.
Getting there. So if you're coming out, I think the main races are 1 o'clock. A lot of the pre-races are probably start around 11, I would guess, some of the pre-qualifying. So still tickets available if you want to come out today. This is the Hangtown Motocross Classic, and always one of our favorite events to come out to. So
the 45th Red Bull Hangtown Classic.
There you go.
45 years.
So got a lot of things to cover today. Got some giveaways to do as well. And in the second hour, I think Bob Richardson's going to come back in. Bob's from the Big Wake Weekend, which is the kind of the next biggest motorsports event coming up in our area.
2 weeks away.
Yeah, May 31st, June 1st, June 2nd. Right. So that's coming up, too. So a lot of things to do. And we might talk to John or one of his guys a little bit later about kind of the financial impact of some of these events. Because you look out here, you look at the number of companies that are here and the amount of people. There'll probably be 25,000 people here today that come out for the event. So you're looking at a multi-million-dollar income generator for our area. And I just don't think people realize how much effort goes into something like this. I mean, these guys will start tomorrow for next year's event. Right. So they'll get going already, and they've got some work ahead of them too.
And then talking to him last night to John, the other John, he's talking about how they're busting at the seams with amount of sponsorship, amount of people.
I think that
it's huge.
And I mean, this has been like the best sports week for Sacramento, right? Hey, Chris, are you still there?
I am.
Chris, I totally blew right through you, and we didn't. I'm just dying to know what your take on the week is. So let me back up and let me start over because I have totally ruined all etiquette of the show, and we always start. Yeah, we always start back up with the 30 seconds from the mind of Christopher Laud, and I'm going to give Chris 45 if he wants to roll on it today because this was a fairly good week for Sacramento and for CBS Sports Radio 1140. Chris, what are your thoughts on the week?
Well, I don't know why you would assume that I'd be talking about that since I've been only talking about it for the last 5 months since all this happened.
Actually, I think right now what you should do is just say not a damn thing. Just go, what happened? Oh, I was asleep this week.
What happened? Yeah. So it was awesome. It's kind of funny, like the time we are in America, you're either Republican, you're Democrat, you're business leader, you're labor. And it's funny how everyone in Sacramento came together to make sure that we had this deal that we're getting a new arena, that we're getting new ownership, that the Kings are staying in Sacramento for a long, long time. And it just shows, like, when a community just comes together, what can be accomplished. So I think Sacramento should be proud of themselves. I'm really looking forward for next 35 years of Kings basketball. So give yourself a hand, Sacramento. Yeah, very good. And I don't know if you caught Carmichael Dave, who was on the show yesterday with Grant Napier, and Dave's been off the radio for a little bit, and somehow part of me thinks he'll be back on the radio someday soon. But anyway, he made one point which I thought was very interesting, or we almost needed someone to kind of try to rip something away from us, to steal, I'll use the term steal, that's not right, but try to take something from us for us to realize, okay, do we really want this or do we not want it? And I thought Dave's point was, had they just quietly, sold the ownership a couple of years ago, and some other owners came in, and you would just assume that you have some right to have the team, and you don't. And quite frankly, as a complete business person, I don't have any problem with the Maloof saying I want the best price for our team. Maybe I wouldn't have done it the way they did it, or maybe I would have. I don't know. But you know what? The pink slip was in their hand. It wasn't in my hand. It wasn't in your hand. So they had the right to do whatever they wanted to do in whatever fashion they wanted to do it. Unfortunately, when you're talking about a pro sports team, you're talking about the whole community looking at you. Unlike, I'm sure I make business decisions during the week that someone would say, that's idiotic, you idiot. And some people say, that's genius. And some people say, that doesn't look so good. I don't know. But nobody's writing about it in the paper every day when you're doing a public sports team. So I'm glad that it came down the way that it did finally. I'm glad they didn't get into a little bit of a catfight anymore.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing the diversity of all the partners that came up with money, even on the small, even at $1 million. 38 partners, I think, and I just think all these people coming together to make it happen was pretty amazing.
So I did a couple things. One of the things I was like, I don't know if you caught the news last night. I'm not sure what station I was even watching, and that's as loud as it'll get, by the way, when they're starting there. But the somebody from the downtown, I'm not sure if it was the city or it was the downtown partnership, was already fielding calls from businesses saying, give me every vacancy, in a 4-square block radius from where you think where this arena is going to go. I want to know which buildings have a direct line of sight to where you think the front door is going to be. I want to know this. I want to know that. And I contend that we haven't even begun to see, as soon as someone takes a dozer out there and removes something else and starts putting something new in there, the game is on.
Absolutely.
And I'm sitting there last night thinking, man, how nice would it be to have, either within the arena or outside the arena. One of my favorite places is like the Tommy Bahama restaurant. Now, Tommy Bahama's isn't a franchise because I looked. But, how nice would it be to have like a Tommy Bahama restaurant, either inside the new arena or just outside, or a Margaritaville, or, you're going to see kind of these classic destination places that are going to start popping up because, that's a building that's going to draw, 250 nights a year of something, And now I'm looking around, and Chris, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I want a hockey team now. Now I'm getting greedy.
Yeah, what's great is I'm almost 30. I've lived in Sacramento my entire life, and there's always been this feeling of, should we be a small town or should we be a city? Should we keep our small town values or should we try to expand? And it's kind of like we've just been in this limbo. And this really just gave a shot in the arm to Sacramento, where it's like, yeah, we are an up-and-coming city. We are the capital of the biggest state of the biggest country. So I think this is awesome.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? Hey, what do you know, and this is totally off topic here, but what do you know about the San Jose Sharks? And, could we put a team that close? That would give us 4 hockey teams in California. Maybe the NHL doesn't want that, but I don't know that we could do that or they would let it, but it'd be sure fun to have someone start asking the question.
I know.
By the way, I think you just did.
Yeah.
I know early on when we were first talking about a new arena, they wanted plans for hockey. They're not saying if it's going to be an NHL team, but plans for a hockey, maybe minor league, maybe getting the San Jose Sharks every once in a while preseason.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Also, Sacramento is getting into soccer. I know Elk Grove is talking about getting an MLS team. So this area is really exploding. In fact, Warren Smith, who was one of the original owners of the Sacramento River Cats and is a friend of mine, is going to be on this radio show in 2 weeks.
talking about bringing soccer, and he's part of the group that's bringing soccer to our area as well. So, I mean, you put up a new, I mean, like the Field of Dreams, like the baseball, the movie, right? You build it and they will come. You put up a Class A brand new facility downtown in the heart of a city. It doesn't matter which one, a city, and they will come. Business will find you, money will find you, and I'm looking forward to all the opportunities. And I think Chris is right. I mean, are we going to be a small town? Well, you look at the people who wrote now the most record price for an NBA team. They don't buy teams in Bodunk nowhere.
Right.
They buy teams in a town, and they look around. And the reason why you have the other guys that are doing $1 million or a few $1 million is they want to be involved with what goes around it. And even you haven't heard Ron Burkle's name lately, but he's not gone. He'll do some things too. So I think the whole thing. Now I can tell you right now, someone's going to sue to stop the building because that's what happens. And maybe that's right. Maybe someone should say, hey, let's take a double look at everything we're doing here. That's fine. But I don't think you can stop this train of success here. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'll give you, before we take a break, I'm just going to give you, I asked John to print this out last night because I think it's important that you know who's behind some of these things. And there's a lot of owners, and I'm not going to read them all. But Vivek Ranadive, who I could not have told you who he was had you given me the proper pronunciation of his name and the spelling. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
I mean, you look at the gentleman, and he's kind of a small stature gentleman. He is from I think he's from India. And you look at him, you'd walk right by him. And yet this gentleman, if you want to read the story on him, you can pull it up in a lot of different places. It is a fascinating story. I'll give you the highlights, and one of them is that he left India at the age of 17 because he wanted to come to MIT. And I guess back then the Indian government wouldn't let you take your money out of the country to go to college. So he sat outside, if I have the story right, he sat outside one of the ministers in India and begged them to give him some money. They gave him $50, which gave him enough to get here and get in one semester at MIT. And from there on out, for those of people that are in the tech world and also in the Wall Street world, because
right.
a lot of his success came from his software relationships and just kind of the quick timing and getting information out. And so, Wall Street companies started using his information, and I think Amazon and maybe Google, somebody else uses it today. So he became a multi-billionaire the hard way. The hard way means someone didn't give you $1 billion to start with and you got $2 billion, or they gave you $5 billion and you ended up with $2 billion. So and that is a total quick gloss over of who he is, because he's written 3 books and you could probably find them. But you look around and a guy, you say, is this a person that can bring success to our area? Is this a person who can build our area up?
Absolutely. Plus with the brothers from San Diego and a lot of these other guys. So I think for us too, it brings more people than just from Sacramento. You got Bay Area, you got San Diego, around the country that are going to want to come and see these things versus just being Sacramento.
Yep. And you say, well, he's a business guy. He's not a basketball guy, but that's not true, because he was part owner of the Golden State Warriors. So
right.
And probably had to give that up this week.
I think he's coached his daughter's high-level national team in basketball, so he's got a lot of influence.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm thrilled with the way the whole week shook out. I'm sure you are. Hopefully you are too. And if you're not, and I'm not thrilled because I'm a huge basketball fan. Quite frankly, I haven't been to a game in quite a while. And I'm sure as the team gears back up, but we did make a commitment. Our company made a commitment to buy some season tickets in the new arena and step up and be, someone who wants to contribute where we can. And so we're looking forward to it. I hope you are too. We're going to take our first break of the day. And our number here in the studio, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. The text line is working, and I will read some of these texts during the break. Text is 44-1140 if you want to jump in. We're going to give away your choice. I did mention the River Cats. They are playing, and things are going well over there. So we have some River Cats tickets if you want to go catch a game. We have some artisan flatbread pizza from Round Table.
That's right.
Want to do that. So our Hangtown tickets are all gone because all those people are here today. So what do you got on your plate there for...
Well, since we're talking about different things, I found this interesting, extremely interesting. I just can't see doing it. But anyhow, this is just me. 8 members of Congress got together this week, and they were asking Google some questions. What were they asking about, and why?
So a little congressional inquiry into Google. That could be a number of things, because I think Google's not new to congressional inquiries.
What was the main thing this past week?
What was this week's inquiry about?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to give away any hints because, I'm not going to
give hints if needed.
If
but
needed.
Just
there you go. Okay, so 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. That's Jay Fott. I'm JT. This is Talkin' Money with Mr. Pete in the house. We're at Hangtown Motocross Classic, and it is going to be one hell of a nice day out here today because it is only going to be 80-something. It is not windy. It is not dusty. And it's going to be awesome. We'll be right back.
Jack.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? We are back. Doesn't sound like we're at Hangtown. This is too quiet.
It looks like we're at Hangtown.
This is totally unexpected for us because it's air conditioned in here. It's quiet. We have a comfortable seat. I'm sure we'll be ejected within minutes.
Last year we were out in the weeds in a corner of a tent trying to talk.
That's right. We're trying to avoid the noise and the wind and everything else too. So we are at the Hangtown Motocross Classic, 45th annual Red Bull. Who's Red Bud? Oh, Red Bud is the racetrack up in Washington. I'm confusing my tracks here. For you race fans out here, I did see James Stewart go by a little bit ago, so he's been out and hurt for a little bit, so he's here today. Lots of number one plates running around out there, so we welcome you to come on out. There are tickets available. It's just not that expensive to come out. I want to say it's $20 to $30. I mean, if you want to come out, you can bring out your own ice chest, I think there's no glass. So look on the Hangtown website for all the details on that. And the main racing starts around 1 o'clock today. Some of the pre-races will get off here probably just as we're finishing at 11.
The track is in awesome condition.
Yeah.
No dust. It just looks...
And this is not the same track, by the way, that you guys ride on during the week when there's no pro races. They brought in a whole bunch of stuff that looks, quite frankly, really nasty. This is why I don't ride on the dirt anymore, because I would be down there and drooling on myself after the one jump. So we did get I wanted to do our quiz question, and the quiz question was something about Google, right? What they do wrong?
Yeah, 8 members of Congress had to meet to chat with them a little bit about one of their products, and mostly over privacy.
Okay.
But this had to do with the Google Glass team.
Google Glass, like a beer glass, or what?
No, this is one that you wear on your eyes. There's a little computer up in your right corner of your eye, and it's attached to a Bluetooth computer.
Camera, does all kinds of, right?
It's a trick.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. See, right now it's only in a test phase, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. And you'll see if you follow the Wall Street Journal, you'll see an article every day about Google Glass etiquette. So I just, how long? Okay, pick a date right now. How long till you see the first dork show up in the bar or somewhere where he doesn't need to be wearing a Google Glass with his Google Glass on? And
how far away is Christmas?
Well, that's right. So I'm guessing they're gonna probably hit for Christmas time. And I haven't seen a price on those. Have you seen any pricing on those yet?
No, but apparently it's currently available to fewer than a couple thousand developers right now, and they paid $1,500 for a prototype.
Okay, so that's gonna come down eventually, but it'd be like the first iPhone. It'll probably be $8 or $9, maybe be $1,000 to begin with. So Google Glass, if you haven't seen the picture of it, you will, and soon you'll see a guy walking around with what looks like something out of Star Trek, strapped to the right side of his head.
You can get different colors,
and he's gonna have the answer to every damn question you ask in just a second
instantly,
because he's gonna have it in his eyepiece. So I'll probably have one. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I want a little, quarter diameter.
You got the image now. You're sitting in your office. You're gonna have your headlight on your head. You're gonna have your computer on your right side of your eye, and you will have like a little L above your forehead.
Big
the loser.
flashing loser sign on my forehead. So, but we did get a winner to that, and I'm not sure whether he took some round table or if he took the River Cats. Either way, we got more. Hey, speaking of technology and Google stuff, and this is the 1 year later. This is the 1 year anniversary. I think it was yesterday, of the Facebook IPO. So Facebook came out as a public stock a year ago. And I would say it hasn't been the best year for them, although I would say that they are getting their act together as far as a public company. Their profits are coming up. But this is interesting. So if you'd have put $10,000 into an investment for Facebook a year ago, how much money do you think you'd have today? $10,000 bucks. How much do you think you'd have today, Pete? How much? 5? Okay, what do you think? 5? You'd have been right there midway through the year. It did creep up around 60. This is a chart. So I'm guesstimating here about $6,400. So you'd have lost about 40% of your investment. And and this is the one that's surprising. Had you put $10,000 in Apple a year ago, think you'd be doing better or worse than Facebook?
Worse.
Worse? Apple? I don't know. See, normally you'd say, well, of course you idiot, Apple probably doubled again. And Apple is not worse, but not much better. It's creeped along right about $8,000. So Apple, I mean, that's got to be the first time in a long time.
Yeah, not the best for those two companies, but a lot of other companies that are coming out of the gates that we're losing.
But your Dork Glass is there?
Yes.
If you'd put money in the Dork Glass company, you'd be just shy of $16,000.
Okay.
So you'd have done well there. And NASDAQ and the S&P 500 were almost sisters in terms of where they're a little bit around, probably around 12.5. So with the exception of Facebook and Apple, if you'd have gone into anything else almost, you didn't have done okay. Well, at least anything else on this chart.
Right.
So because what it was last week, you said only, 10 stocks of the NASDAQ, only 10 represented 75% of the winnings or something, right? It was not equally dispersed.
I think it was almost 90%.
Was it? Yeah, so that's the problem with picking a stock.
Diversity.
Yeah, you pick
diversity.
a stock and you are a gambler a little bit because you're trying to decide, if you'd have picked all the NASDAQ, you'd have made about 12.5. If you'd have picked just Facebook or just Apple, you'd have lost. So you got to spread it around a little bit. What they tell me in the financial. I didn't want to get off. I was going to bring this up in the first segment. So Thursday night I had dinner with a friend from Seattle who was down here, business acquaintance, and he's a huge fan of basketball up there, and they sponsor the University of Washington, I guess. So he was a little disappointed they didn't get the team. And he said, "Hey, you know who who has the worst?" He called it a Q rating, which is, I don't know. Basically, it's a who's looked upon the worst in the Seattle area. You want to take a guess who that is? Who's probably the most not favored person in all of Seattle right now? And they told him he could take his business and take it and leave. One of the biggest businesses in the world.
Really?
Yeah. What's the guy's name that owns Starbucks?
I'm guessing it's Schwartz.
Howard Schwartz?
Is it Schwartz or Schultz?
Schultz. Howard Schultz. So Mr. Howard used to own.
Yeah, Schultz.
Yeah, Mr. Howard used to own the Seattle Supersonics and sold them to a guy named Clay Bennett, who now is a Oklahoma City team. And Mr. Schultz is not doing well in the Seattle area. They're not very happy with him.
Interesting.
In fact, the guy that I was with said, you know what? People I'm with in Seattle said he could take his whole damn company and leave.
Wow.
So that's Starbucks. Now, I'm going to throw it out here. I'm not a political person, but I'm going to raise my hand and say if Starbucks wants to come to Sacramento,
bring it on.
Pete and I and John, we all could get a truck. We'll bring the van down.
Absolutely.
I could drive from Seattle. I could get that thing in a night.
We're on our way.
I mean, how much stuff are you really bringing anyway? You're bringing like 12 computers and a couple desk chairs and a coffee grinder. We'll bring Starbucks right here.
Sacramento's got Starbucks and...
I don't want just a Starbucks. I want the...
That's what I mean,
yeah.
the... We'll call it the Starbucks Arena.
I mean, call it anything you want right now, as long as we get it built. So here's off of the text line here, 441140 if you want to jump in today. From the 707, wow, we're getting people from the Bay Area today. The Maloofs got a record amount of money for one of the worst franchises in the NBA. Terrible attendance and a lot of losing equals $535 million. Does that make the Lakers worth $2 billion? Well, if you do the math on it, it might. And do you get the stadium? Do you get the arena too?
Yeah, if you get everything else down there, you probably do.
You get Kobe. You get a little piece of Kobe's tendon that they tore out and replaced. Did you see that on the internet? He actually twittered a picture of his own Achilles heel being replaced.
No.
Awesome. That's what the internet's for. Good old gruesome surgery stories there.
I think you'd be one of the first to have those Google glasses.
There's our 530 again. I cannot read that one. So anyway, I did see the Google car driving around the other day by our office. The little thing spinning on the top, taking all the pictures. I gave him one of these too. I'm going to be famous. If you Google the corner of Eureka and Douglas, you're going to see some fat guy with a finger up. They might have to wipe that out. I don't know if they can do that in Google or not.
He is not waving high.
No. Don't run me over with your Google. I have my Google Glass on. I couldn't see you coming. Hey, we had a little problem with the IRS this week. You've been following that? We'll come back to that after the break. I want to talk about that as well. It does make me think, though, maybe, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, the IRS has, and to some extent, the Obama administration has gotten themselves a little bit of hot water about cherry picking who they want to investigate, who they want to allow to be tax-free status and have a, just different rules within the IRS, and it seemed to be all leaning one way. I don't know if you heard some of the questions and some of the responses that the IRS asked for in order for you to reply to your application. They were obnoxious, but here's my whole entire hope. As I was going through some clients' tax returns this week that were 100 to 150 pages, and quite frankly, I've been doing this business for 20-something years. A couple of them, I looked at their tax returns and I said, dude, I don't know whether you make $2 million a year or you're out $100,000. I can't even tell what the hell this thing says. And that is ridiculous. And I don't mean it's ridiculous because the borrower it was a complex tax return. Great, the guy does they do all kinds of things. That's fine. It's ridiculous that a normal human being can't look at the return and figure out, what does this thing even say? I mean, and why do we need to have 150 pages? I mean, it is so obnoxious now, the cost of doing business and staying in business and reporting your income and trying not to report your income and something has got to change. I mean, it has just got to change. And you start looking at some of the stuff and then the borrowers get a little upset. They're like, well, how come you haven't given me a reply yet? I say, dude, I haven't even got to the middle section of the book yet. I read the Bible quicker than I read your depreciation schedule.
No doubt.
So it is difficult to figure out. And I come back to it all the time. The penalty for being wrong can put you out of business. I mean, you could look at that tax return and if you just looked at the bottom line, in many cases for self-employed people, the bottom line is damn near zero. Then you'd say, no loan for you. So we're going to turn a guy away who makes. I'm just using an example now, but I had a client that sold a business for almost $7 million in cash in the bank, and we couldn't get him a loan.
Yeah. And they say,
and I should say the industry couldn't get him a loan.
I had the same conversation last night with a client that said, I have the down payment, I can make the payment, and I have all this money in the bank. Why am I going through all this scrutiny?
Yeah. And I asked the guy, so why don't you just pay cash? But when you're borrowing at 3% and after tax about 1.5% to 2%, it ain't that big of a deal. I mean, it's called leveraging. That's how the guys get more money. But at some point in time, you look around and they say, screw it. I'm not going through this. And it's usually it's the kind of people that you would want to loan money to.
Absolutely.
You loan your own money to. So let's get out another quiz question here. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140 if you want. I got one if you don't. You got one there?
I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
So since we're talking about wages in the garment industry, what is the minimum wage currently in the garment industry?
So like for the average?
For across the board, this is different countries. You could speak about China, Cambodia, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, Bangladesh. One of these countries has the lowest per month minimum wage per month. So
you want the average or you want the lowest?
I want the lowest.
You want the lowest. And this was in where they had the big building collapse,
correct,
right?
In Bangladesh.
And this is this an hourly wage or monthly?
Monthly.
Oh, that was monthly?
Minimum wage per month.
Oh, man. Dude, I spent more than that. I spent more than that at the bar one time. 338-9400, 1-800-920.
339.
338-9400 is my number at my office. If you want to call me and say, hi, how you doing, Jeff? What's happening? I got a quiz question to answer for you. But Chris's number is 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, and you could text us at 44-1140. The minimum, is it Bangladesh? Is that who it is?
Yes.
Okay, you can give it out. So in Bangladesh, if you're in the garment industry, how much do you make per month? That's our quiz question. This is Talkin' Money. That's John. That's Pete. I'm Jeff. This is Hangtown. We're going to take a break, come back, do more of this. If you're out here, wave at us. We can see you. We're in the tower. Oh, yeah, I see you. There you go. Wave your shirt again. We'll be right back.
Talkin' money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
I'm still chewing here. Hold on a second. Hey, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast burrito there, by the way.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying that little
Fat guy bar.
Fat guy bar. Seriously, that couldn't have tasted good.
So one of my buddies this week asked me, "Why do you come on the radio and say you're gonna try to lose weight?" And I said, "Because if I come on the radio and say I'm gonna try to lose weight, then everybody in the world knows, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, and you have to be accountable to somebody, right? So there you go. So I'm down almost 7 pounds.
I heard you're wearing a Speedo for Big Week Weekend.
Dude, I am wearing a Speedo. That's trash. Yeah, that's fine. No, we're not using that. Yeah, we're okay. I am. I always wear a Speedo, John. If it's a public event, you got a Speedo only, shirtless Speedo. Ask Don Geronimo. He'll tell you. Oh, no shirt.
Oh boy.
We did get a. Chris? Did we get a winner to our quiz question there? No. Did you get anybody even close? Oh, Bill. Sorry, they said no. So Bill got the answer right. So if you are a garment worker in which country?
Bangladesh.
So give me China first. I'm figuring that may be the highest.
China's $138 a month. $138 a month.
That's like being in the mortgage business. Pretty close. So and they're the high?
In 08 and 09, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So there were some days I wish that I would have just made that. So that was, and they were the high payer?
They were the high payer.
Okay, so give me on down your list there. Who else you got?
Cambodia, $75 a month. Indonesia, $71 a month. Vietnam, $67. India, $65. Bangladesh, their minimum wage per month is $38.
So they're making a shirt that probably costs $50 to $60, and they're going to get $38 a month.
A month.
And then that's if the building doesn't collapse and kill you before you get your paycheck.
Right.
Yeah. So you see, and that's a problem for U.S. companies. I know Walmart's making some moves to try to change things on where they get their materials from. But it's you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. So we could make the shirt in the United States, and that $40 shirt would be $65, and nobody would buy it, and then they'd have to close the factory down.
Right.
So, and yet we buy and we pay people $38 a month. The building falls on top of them. We all look around and go, "That's horrible," and yet we're the number one consumer for that product. So I don't know where you fall in on that, but it's not an easy discussion, and it was a very sad deal. And yeah, I don't know what the right answer is, but $38 a month probably ain't cutting it, even in Bangladesh.
Right.
So we got a couple texts off the text line 441140. I was talking before the break about some of the IRS scandals that are coming out, and I was lamenting that the craziness that has come out on just trying to file a tax return. Now, if you are somebody who works one job, you work for the state or you work for Walmart or whatever, you get one W-2, you have one house, you probably don't need a CPA. You can probably figure that out on your own and do it. But many people have many things going on, or many different businesses, and we're starting to see tax returns that are in the hundreds and hundreds of pages. And the complexity of just trying to figure out, it's the reason I miss the stated income days. And if you use that word now, people look at you like you're the devil. Like, oh my God, that was the start of it. The start of the whole thing, Jeff. You shouldn't even say that. That wasn't the start of the whole thing.
For the right reason, it was a great program.
It was a program where you took common sense, which we do not have anymore in the mortgage business. We'd like to have it. We have common sense people. We just don't have any common sense rules. But you used to have you could look at someone's, just their entire portfolio. You take Pete's bank statements and you look at them and you say, okay, Pete's running 4 different companies and he's got, you could just see the cash flow coming in. There's 40, 50, 60 grand a month in cash coming in. Now, do I think that Pete could not make his $1,250 a month payment out of, and you look at his credit, and his credit spotless, and by the way, Pete says, I'll put down 25%, guys. I'd rather not go through all the hoops and hurdles. I'll make a nice large down payment. I might even take a rate that was instead a quarter higher.
Right. Money in the bank, plenty to pay.
Yeah, I've been doing this forever. You look at my bank statements. I'll give you a whole year's worth of bank statements, which we used to look at. And you'd say, you know what? Am I going to lose money on that loan? I might. Pete might get hit by a bus tomorrow. He might get out of business. I mean, maybe not. He maybe won't. But with 25% down, I probably won't get hurt. I mean, that was the common sense way of doing things. And I remember asking my clients, here's the rate at 5 if you want to go through all the hoops and hurdles, and here's the rate at 5 1/4 if you want to just be done with it. And 9 times out of 10, the dudes say, give me 5 1/4.
Yeah.
I don't have all day.
It's interesting you bring it up. I had 3 clients this week kind of fall into that scenario of, lots of income, but just convoluted K1s all over the place, K1s they didn't receive yet. And it was a perfect stated loan, but complicated.
Yep. And right now so if you're looking for financing right now, we are in that tweener period where the IRS is backed up and getting a colonoscopy at the same time, rightfully so. And by the way, my name is not Jeff Tarbell; it's Kevin Johnson. My tax returns all of a sudden will come back in the mail. We're going to choose these for audit. But right now, there's a lot of people who have filed their returns that haven't been accepted by the IRS or approved. And so if you are in that tweener stage where you don't have your tax return back and done yet or your refund back yet, there can cause some significant delays for you. Because a lot of lenders want to verify your returns have been accepted by the IRS.
Accepted, validated.
Yep, validated is the word I'm looking for. So if that's you and you're buying something right now and your tax returns if you're on extension, it's no problem. If you have a copy of your extension, which is almost easier, but if you sent them in and they haven't been accepted or validated yet, that's causing a little bit of an issue. So that's something to think about as well. But here's a couple things off our text line at 441140. A gentleman who listens to this show, looks like he works in some fashion or another for franchise tax, which would be the state of California, said even when they're looking at tax returns, in their multiple pages, they're getting confused. It's just, you have to be, the person who's at the IRS or the person who's at the franchise tax board, they're probably not a CPA. And even some CPAs are better than others in terms of how you account for things. And so you can look at some CPAs will look at each other and go, what is that?
Absolutely.
Where did that come from?
You can talk to 3 of them and they'll give you 3 different answers.
Yeah. So here's the details of this week's tax agency controversy. This came up regarding a Treasury Inspector's General Report, which is, I guess in 2012, GOP lawmakers asked for the Treasury to look into the IRS. What they wanted to find out was, how come our nonprofit status hasn't been approved, and how come we're not getting things done before the election? So we'll talk about that some more as well. We're gonna have some guests come up after the first of the hour. Bob made it back. How are you? Good. We were just listening to your big weekend commercials there between the break. So we'll can you guys hang out a little bit after we'll take a break at the 10 o'clock and cover that. Okay. You got to bring your bike? You gonna do a little riding? Huh? So what? I'm live. Yeah, I know talent. I'll tell you my talent story in a little bit, but I'll save that one for after the break there. So we'll do that. We got a little quiet time here. We'll finish up a couple of financial things and come back to that. So take a look at this. If you are right before the election, if you want to become somebody, a nonprofit who wants to either promote your ideas, you want to promote your Tea Party brand, you want to promote your anti-big government brand, whatever you want to do, you want to get what's called a nonprofit status, so you can raise money, collect money from different people, and you can promote ads, or you can sponsor elections. Not elections, but you can sponsor candidates. You can do what you want to do, but you need to be a nonprofit. And what happened is the IRS started Googling different terms and different names, such as Tea Party, Take Back the Country, Make America Better, lower government debt. And they were looking for any application that had that word in it. And then they would send back a questionnaire to Mr. Fodorero, who said, I want to start a 504C, I think they call it, 501C. And they say, John, tell us about your group. Well, we want to, we don't believe in big government. We want to, do this or that. Well, tell us every member in your group. And give us their full name and social security number and their families. And give us their email addresses. And tell us what you guys did at your last meeting, and tell us who attended the meeting, and give us every meeting you've had this year, and everybody who attended, and their addresses, and their families' addresses, and any websites they might have.
Can I say no?
You can say no, but you won't get to the status. This was only for Republican-based groups. And one lady said, we have a book club that does some things, and they said, give us every book you've ever read and a report on the book you read. So you start getting into stuff like that, and that was where it got beyond ridiculous. Wow. And I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat or which side you're voting on. If you have to put up with that kind of crap just to get a tax-free status, I think that's wrong, and I guess a lot of other people did too. So we'll see how that shakes out, but it isn't going to be good for somebody. That's for darn sure. That'll come out over the next few weeks. That might be bigger than you think. You talked about Benghazi. They didn't protect this or that. This is going to be a big one, and I don't know if it'll be like Richard Nixon big, but it'll be big. So we'll see how that shakes out. I do have some. I'm all over the place today. Did you see this guy? You recognize that guy? Last time he had on a fake blonde wig. We actually had a guy get caught as a Russian spy. This dude looks like he couldn't work McDonald's.
Right.
Do you want fries with that? That's what it looks like. This is what we're hiring? We need to get out of the sequester. We need to get some better spies. If you get caught with a fake wig on, that's not good. That's not good. And they let him go, too. Like here. Huh? Yeah, they give him immunity. But I think they looked at him and go, if this is your best spy, dude, you could have him back. We don't even want him. We're not even going to try to convert him. It doesn't even wear the right gear. So that was embarrassing a little bit, if you will. Let's see. How are we doing on time there, Chris? 2 more minutes. Okay, so I'm going to cover a couple of these when we get back, and we're going to do some other items when we get back, too. I was going to do this as a quiz question, but I won't. This is a fascinating little breakdown of who makes what. This chart you see here, which you can see on the radio so easily, gives you the compensation from a CEO and the return to the shareholders in terms of how well the company did. And it's pretty amazing because this is what has happened now is that shareholders have finally gotten a little bit of toehold in companies and said, you know what, we own this company. Just because you're the CEO, we're not going to pay you $50 million a year and $100 million a year signing bonus and $200 million leaving bonus and all the jets. We're sick of this. We want our money. We're the shareholders. So now they're starting to track who gets paid what and how well do you do. And so who do you think is the number one highest paid CEO in 2012? And he's running a bunch of big old boats out there in San Francisco Bay. Oracle, so Larry Ellison at Oracle.
Really?
This is slightly less than Talon's last salary writing. He made $94 million last year. You were just under that, weren't you? Just a bit? Yeah, that was before the T-shirt sponsor. That was like 93, dude. So $94 million last year, and they rated him one of the worst. His company made a minus 22 on the shareholder return label. Meg Whitman, remember her? Yeah. HP, she makes about $15 million a year. She's at a minus 50% shareholder return. So not so good. So just because you are paying big salaries to your CEOs doesn't mean you're making. And speaking of CBS Radio, by the way, number 2, Les Moonves, CBS Radio made $58 million in direct compensation. That was just about more than we made here doing this show on Saturdays. We made more like the Bangladesh.
We got a free burrito.
We made the Bangladesh making a shirt salary at 30. I don't even think we made $38. So, and we'll come back to that some more. A lot of stuff to cover. We'll get into some fun stuff too. You got another quiz question for us for the break?
No.
What? Are you from France? No.
I thought we'd wait, but okay.
Oh, we can come up with some more. 339-1140. You want to do it after we come back?
Yeah, after we come back.
Okay, we can do that. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. My name is Jeff Tarbell. That's John Ferrero. That's Talon Volan. We have to give him a microphone, too. Well, I don't think it's even on yet. We'll wait. I like to build anticipation because this is like the biggest thing he's ever done in his life. To sit in the tower at Hangtown and talk to 2 fat guys during the break. This is Talkin' Money. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after the beginning of the hour. Hold on, folks.
40.
Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? We are at 10 o'clock. It's just starting to fill in here. We are at the Hangtown Motocross Classic out here on, which is out of Prairie City. And if you're not familiar with Prairie City, then you probably never rode a bike, or you don't run around with your mud bog truck or something else out here, because everything else goes on in here. But we are just south of Highway 50. And you can come out the Prairie City off-ramp. You come down Prairie City South. You make a right on White Rock, and you'll see the traffic.
Follow the cars all backed up.
Follow the road of traffic coming out here today, because it is going to get busy. Earlier is probably better if you're getting in here. There you go. We get a little bit of that sound in there. Still doing some early morning practice, and the main races again start at 1 o'clock. Some of the pre-qualifying starts around 11, I believe. So you got time to come on out. Tickets are very inexpensive, and there is lots of them. So we welcome you to come out. For the second hour today, John and I can do a little bit. We'll jump back and forth between some mortgage-related stuff, and as we have some different guests, some people show up, we'll jump them in there as well. And so we're going to start off hour number 2 with a couple local individuals. One of them is Talon. You were on one of my Facebook questions this week.
Oh boy. Yeah,
we were giving away some tickets to Hangtown, and I got a lot of Steve Lamson answers, and I got a lot of like people that I'm trying to think. The answer was.
The question was
local rider, beat Carmichael at Hangtown, number 3 in Europe, something like that, and I was getting like. John Michelle Bale, and it was like as a local writer, that doesn't even sound California. So we're getting all kinds of answers, but the answer was Talon Wolin. How are you doing?
All right, I'm doing good, man. It's great to be out here and just involved with the sport and doing what I love. So it's good.
So Talon, I was giving him my story how I met him when he was. How old do you think you were then? As that started, maybe 10?
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah,
10, 11 years old. Riding up at a place that we all of us locally used to ride. And you can still ride up there now. It's a lot different up there at Mammoth Bar. Back in the days when Talon and I were talking about, you had to be basically a skilled mountain climber just to get down to the damn place. And if it started raining on the way out, you had to get moving because you weren't getting out if it didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
No paved roads and no cushy bathrooms. This was right on the river down there. It was in the good days.
Yeah, I tell you that that's a great place to train. And the year that I was really fast in '99, I call that the hell hill, So after I would do my motos, I would actually jog up that hill and also run sprints up that hill, and that was part of my training.
Yeah, who was I telling yesterday? It was one of my other quiz questions was Danny Magoo Chandler.
Yes.
And a local hero, if not God, when it comes to motorcycles locally.
Yeah.
And we were out there one day, and this hill, the hill that Talon's talking about, it was steep. It was straight up and down. It came off the river, and we were, you'd ride up and down, and then if you were not a very good rider like myself, you had to pay attention to what you're doing. And we're sitting out there one day, and Danny Chandler comes by off the top of this hill and just launches himself right off of this hill and lands about 90% of the way down to the bottom. The craziest bastard I ever saw in my life.
Yeah.
On a bike, and went on to represent the United States in the MS Nations and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he was a great guy to watch. When I was coming up and being a kid, he'd be one of the very first inspirations that I had, and it was because there was this guy with freckles that could jump so far.
Yeah.
People would land here, and he'd land 2, 3, 4 bike lanes, and this was like on a 490 Mako.
Yeah.
And the guy was just. He was amazing, so it was great to.
And we don't give credit to these guys. You see some of these guys that are that do all the jumps now, and they're jumping on these super ultra lightweight bikes, and you're thinking these guys are flying. But you put them on that bike that Chandler had to ride on. Some of these guys had to ride on early on. That thing was a beast.
Oh yeah, and they had basically no suspension. Literally when he would land. In fact, in the past, he's broken his frame. Danny was famous for that. He broke his frame a few times, just jumping so hard that the bike broke in half.
Yeah.
The guy was gnarly.
So we're here to talk to you and. So I grew up in the area. You grew up in the area in Carmichael and El Camino High School, and I went to school with your brother a little bit, your older brother at Mariloma for a little bit, and I always tell the story about you don't know how fast somebody is. It's so hard to look out here and look at those guys because they're all going about the same speed, so they all look like they're just kind of farting around, right?
Yeah, right.
And I tell this that I raced a little bit at the end of high school and early college, and nobody was racing me because I was at the back. But I was racing them. So I would ride with your brother, Tyson, and out here in different races, Sacramento Raceway, and he would kill us. It wasn't even funny, kill us.
Right.
And then you would come out and you'd see on certain races him get pros out here go by him, and he'd look around going, damn, I don't got it today. And he'd win races too, and yourself. So for me to watch these guys go fast, I know how fast it is because I know how slow I was, but you get a real appreciation for how fast is. But you had a lot of success. You grew up in Carmichael.
Yeah.
and race a little bit. But tell us about where you ended up, because you didn't take the conventional United States approach eventually. You ended up leaving out there.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great rookie year in 1990 and ended up getting a factory ride in 91. But one thing, this is a young man's sport, and it's quite difficult. You get injuries the wrong time of the year. You know, you are independent contractor, so you may or may not find a contract the next year. And I was in a situation already that I wasn't going to get such a good deal, but I had a good money offer to go to Europe. I thought, I was so young and dumb, I thought that, I'll just go over there, kill those guys, win a world title, come back, and have a factory ride again.
Yes, it's like free over there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these guys have black helmets and no visors. How tough could they be? I'm serious.
I'm wearing day glow, dude. I'll kill these people in day glow.
So, you know, after about 8 years of being there and finally getting close to winning the title, but it took a long time, a lot of adjustments, but it made me mature. I came back. I did get a good ride here. And it was, yeah, like you said, an unconventional career. But, you know, when you look back, things that were from that part have led me to where I'm at now, which I'm running a very big company that's an Italian company. But because I was there, I learned to speak Italian. I learned the mentality that I have a great relationship with the owners there, and I was able to work and put this deal together. So in a way, it still all comes back around, you know.
And would you have considered racing in Europe at that time? Was it as big as the United States? Was it bigger than the United States?
No, you know, since Supercross really took off in the early 90s, this has always been the premier place as far as, you know, the elite money. And
where you got to be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did eventually get back here in 99 and rode for the Team Pro Circuit and the FMF Honda team, so that was my ultimate goal. But I did learn a lot. I got a lot of experiences over there as well. And again, you know, it comes back around that it ended up putting me where I'm at right now, which I love what I do.
So in Europe, you got as high as how far up?
I was actually, and I go back on my career, so 2 times third in the world, and also in the U.S. when I came back, I was 2 times third in the nation. I mean, both in Europe and in the U.S., I was leading the world championships. 99, I was racing with Carmichael until the 8th round, and it seems like something was missing because I'd always end up either killing myself, meaning crashing,
right,
or I would always end crash and get injured. So that was why I kept ending up or second or third. So that was it.
But that's pretty incredible.
That's awesome.
I mean, that is incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, third in the world in anything is third in the world in anything, and that's probably what I consider motocross racers to be, if not the best overall athletes in the world, then it's in the conversation of the top 2. And I don't know who else would outdo them, but until you've ridden a bike down one of these nasty tracks for a little bit for a half an hour and you don't throw up, and you get off, then tell me how that works for you. But it is difficult to do at best.
Yeah. I think that, you know, any of the real individual sports, it takes a lot of discipline and work ethic, really, you know. I mean, motocross is super gnarly because it's so physical as well.
Yeah.
It's
and your family, from what I recall, your whole family was into riding and racing, and that was your support group.
Right.
And it was very, very important. I mean, tell me about a factory ride. I mean, what does that mean? It's when I think back to, you know, the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you'd look at and I was a big Honda guy. You'd look at a Honda factory bike, and there wasn't a single part on there that you could find in the face of the earth. I mean, it looked like a spaceship compared to what you could buy on the showroom floors.
Right.
It
was like that, and that was one of the cool things about going to Europe because their rules are different than here. So in the U.S., they have a more standard or stock, let's call base rule, where you have to be more in the tolerance. But in Europe, they use that as their testing facility for the newer stuff. So they can use full factory bikes still over there. And so I was using some of the really special stuff. Like I would fly to Japan before our season started, and I would test there for 3 weeks on different kinds of bikes and even the bike for the next year and different parts. But here in the U.S., though, there's still so minute things that you can't see. But those bikes like these guys are on have really not a lot of relationship to do with standard, to be honest. It's kind of like watching NASCAR. It ain't a stock car.
That's right. It says Ford on the badge plate, but everything else behind it ain't the same.
Yeah.
I mean, so how much of a difference? You were at such a high level. So if I walked down to Carmichael Honda and handed you a Carmichael Honda bike off the street, versus, could you still be competitive on that bike? I mean, at the top when you were, or did the bike, was that the difference maker maybe?
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking the very top level, and when you're talking, Dungey and Villapoto.
Yeah.
I mean, what I found is on a stock bike or a bike that you buy, you can go almost as fast or just as fast, but what happens, you only do it for a few laps. because you have to work so hard to get it done. You're fighting the bike going into the corner. You're fighting the bike coming out.
Okay.
Where when I would be testing, let's say at the end of the day, I'd be going 3 seconds a lap faster on my race bike than my practice bike or my more stock bike.
Yeah.
And it was easier for me to do. So I could do it longer. I could do it faster without taking as much risk. I can make it happen on my practice bike because I was familiar with it. But it was such an effort. It's crazy when you change the forks in this and then you land off the jump and you feel this little twitch, and then when you get the factory bike, there's no twitch. You just land and
go.
Huh? Yeah, so it's just small things. It's crazy. When I was younger coming up, my dad was all about it's training. But when you start getting on these good teams and you start testing, training, you've got to be in shape. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But man, a good team makes a huge difference too. So it's just like car racing. I mean, you need to have a good team and program all the way around.
Yeah, I think before you guys showed up, Roger DeCosta was standing here, and I went and said hi to him. Speaking of good teams, and guys from Europe that did okay racing in his past there as well.
Yeah.
So you came back to the United States, and now you're wearing the Attribi shirt, and so that ended up. So when did you actually stop racing, and why?
2003 was my last year, and I think each rider always has that moment where it's like, it's time to stop. And
how old were you then? How old were you in 2003?
I think it was 29.
Okay.
Yeah. So old in motocross,
right.
But still not so old. But
right.
That's the way it is.
Just getting started in the work world, and all wrapped up in the
Maybe
riding.
Even getting married. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways, it was just this moment. I was sitting on this line, and what happens in your career is you get to this peak where you're making good money, you have a good team, but maybe you made some injuries and so on. Then they start to lose interest. Or taking a younger guy, you want to still get the same money, so you take a lesser team. They have to pay you.
Right.
And you still think in your mind you can do it, but the problem is it gets tougher as the program starts to slip, and you don't have the desire and work ethic like you did when you're younger, because it's just. The problem is when you get older, you know what they got and you know what you don't got.
Right.
When you're young, you're killing yourself because you just want to get there, so you don't know what they got.
You don't know any difference.
So you're
right.
on the other side, and then it gets tougher and tougher, and it's like, I remember sitting on the line. You used to have to, in Europe, you have to qualify for your starting position. So I think I had about 15th time, which is not very good. And I remember watching a few guys that had first and second walk the line with their sunglasses on and that little cocky attitude that you have when you're...
When you were 20-something, yeah.
Yeah, when you're 20-something and you're the number one guy leading the championship. And I thought to myself, man, I remember when I used to feel like that. And when I said that to myself, I said, what the hell am I doing here?
Right.
So this is it. And that's it. And that's when I said, okay, I did not stop that day. But I talked to my wife and I said, hey, I think it's time for me to stop. Because if I'm thinking about how that guy's feeling, I shouldn't be out on a dirt bike track. Because, I've always believed that dirt bike is great, but it's also dangerous. But if I give it 100%, my body's ready, my mind's ready, it's not a problem to take the risk. But if my mind's not into it and I'm starting to think like this, I don't want to take that risk.
This isn't going to go well.
It could not go wrong.
Right. Yeah. So now you stayed in the industry.
Yeah, there was some opportunity I saw with a company called Attribi, who makes accessory plastic for bikes, fenders, and handguards. And I saw that they were struggling a little bit here in the U.S., and I just found the right time, and with me speaking Italian and living in Europe, I went and spoke to them, put a deal and said, hey, I think I really can help you. I started out in the racing division, negotiating their contracts, because at that time, being a rider, I knew the managers and everybody.
Right.
And this led to sales, and now I'm the sales manager of the U.S. for Attribi's USA. So it's kind of came full circle, and it's been great. And now it even gives me the time to work with my son, who's kind of young up-and-coming little motocross guy. His name's Max Paul, and so maybe you guys will see him here in another 10 or 12 years.
Yes, I saw something the other day that actually, I don't remember who it was, but they bought a bike and it said Volan Racing on the side, and I said, where'd you get that? And, we bought it from somewhere else. It was a little bike, so maybe Max moved on up, and that was one of his old ones.
Yeah,
so.
He did. We just sold the 50s. He won quite a few little titles in the 50 class, and now we're up to the 65, and he's riding. I'm a proud dad. He's riding for KTM. He's got all the sponsors, but we're I don't know. It's just in our blood. It's in our family. It's what we do, and my dad, which is his grandpa, is fully involved, and we just do it, man. For us, being at the racetrack is like breathing air.
Yeah. So awesome.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. We got to take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll talk about it a little bit. But good to meet you again.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate the time getting on there. It's great, and any other time we come back, let me know.
We'll do it. That's Talkin Volan, local ex-professional rider, now retired now, number 3 in the world, both overseas and locally here in the United States. Now working for Attribi's, which if you sounds like it's spelled ACRBIS, you'll see in bright yellow. And anything you want plastic, all the hand guards, you see them, go to any cycle gear anywhere, they're all over the place. So that's for Attribi's. We got to take a quick break. This is Talkin Money. We are live at the Hangtown Motocross. When we come back, we're going to catch up with the Big Wake weekend. That is coming up in 2 weeks, right? Yeah,
that's right.
2 weeks from yesterday. Out at Folsom Yeah, 31st, 1st, and 2nd, right? There you go, out at Folsom Lake. And that is going to be one heck of an event as well. So we'll talk about that when we come back. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell. That's John Farrow. That's Talon Volin, and we'll be
Right back, Jack.
Sacramento Kings.
Talkin' Money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right, how you doing? Almost midway through hour number 2 of 2 today. We are live at the Hangtown Motocross event, Motocross Classic, Prairie City Off-Highway Vehicle Park in Rancho Cordova. Come on out if you'd like. We got much better location this year, huh, boys?
Absolutely. It's amazing there's even a race going on right now.
We can hear ourselves. It's air conditioned, and we can actually see what's going on. So this is a good spot this year. And in the second half of the second hour from 10:30 on, we'll get back to a little bit of our mortgage talk. I've got some quiz questions. In fact, I'll throw one of them out there right now. So if you want to jump in, 339-1140, or you can text us at 44-1140 if you'd like. And we'll talk to Bob about the big wig weekend here, but I'll get this out, and this will lead me into our next break. So get this, boys. This is probably not quite as nice as your house, Bob, but it's probably close. This is the highest priced listing in the United States right now for a single-family home. $190 million. 190 is the asking price. You can ask in. I'm asking 190 for my house, by the way, too. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm taking 25% off right now. First buyer. So $190 million. And if that records, that will be the highest price in the past ever. No, I guess not ever, but some of the highest prices. So 190. So in which state is this home located is our quiz question. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. And here's the thing that gets me. They're showing some pictures and descriptions. The interior is in good condition, but much of it hasn't been modernized. Well, why the hell start modernizing at 190? If you want it at $200 million, we're going to fix the place up a little bit for you. So 190,
get you in.
You may have to do a little work. It's got like a microwave and a Coleman kitchen. That's about it. But it does have a fairly nice swimming pool. So there you go. And it comes with some land you can split. But in what state is the house for $190 million?
Does it say if the garage is finished?
I believe it has a fairly nice garage, yes. But I'll have to look through there. It's on quite a bit of acreage, but what's funny is the two previous biggest deals were $117 million and $100 million, and those houses weren't even listed. They weren't even on the market. I mean, that was just someone who knew somebody who wanted them.
Interesting.
What's the? I didn't bring my calculator with me, but what's the mortgage payment on $190 million? The 20% down. I'm not. That's. I want to do the loan though, because if I do, I'm going to take all of the rest of this year off. Maybe get myself into next year a little bit too, because there's a few amount of bucks in that loan proceeds there.
If we sell maybe 2 or 3 tickets, I got a shot at that.
Yeah, you're right. Here you go. You're only you can win the Powerball, Bob.
Right.
Are you playing?
Yeah, I play the Powerball every day with what I do.
Yes, that's right.
My life's a lottery.
Your life is the Powerball. Yeah, it's just but you're gonna see this wouldn't be enough for you. I don't think. Because even after the $600 million, you don't get a check for $60. You only get like $363 million, and then you got to pay the IRS and the state. You're barely going to pull 180. Bob, you're barely going to get that house free and clear.
Right, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Is like if I'm going to win something, make it $1 billion.
I'd prefer to have it updated too, like nice grand.
Yeah, right. I'm not dealing with the tile countertops on my $100 million.
Exactly.
I mean, you think about that. You bring somebody over your house, and if you spend $190 million, and they come in and they go, dude, this kitchen is so old.
So your principal and interest payment is $722,000 a month.
Oh,
$722
a month.
Yeah. Nice.
That's $722,000. That's without your property tax bill.
Yeah, without taxes and insurance. So that's what 20% down.
Yeah, so figure $725,000 a month.
A month. Oh,
nice.
Well, that's only a little under $8 million a year. And I was just doing the CEO. He was Oracle's making like, what did I say, $94 million a year. So he could, in fact,
that would be the guy that could do it. And not even flinch.
In fact, that price is not so ridiculous when you take his income at $94 million. So times 2 is about the house price. And most people who are making $50,000 a year are buying houses that are $300,000. They're buying 6 times that. So that, in fact, is probably too low of a price.
Yeah, he wouldn't even flinch.
Well, that's why he's got money for the kitchen.
Right. Exactly. Finish the garage.
So we'll leave the Richardson estate out of it for just a moment. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing really well.
So we ran into you last weekend,
yes.
Purple Place.
Yes.
Which actually, we had a blast out there, by the way.
Yeah, that was a good crowd.
Yeah, we had about 20 listeners showed up for breakfast, and there was a bunch of people that were there, and we had a good time. And you were getting mobbed for tickets and shirts and hats. And
we're out here, too. We've got a nice program out here, too, Jeff, and doing the same. A lot of beach balls going out today.
Is the boat here?
Boat's here, yeah.
Is it up on the hill or what?
It's right at the end, right at the entrance to the vendor midway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the Big Wake weekend, and it'll be easy to find Bob's display because it's a big H1 boat, white boat turn on the side. Is that the one?
35 feet long, 13 feet high.
So I was watching some of your videos this week.
Okay.
From Facebook and different boats.
Sure.
And then I started it's like a lot of these boats like to go like this.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking, now Bob wants me to sit out here in my boat on some raft thing here, and these guys are going to be going by me at 200 something miles an hour, and half of them might be touching the water.
Right. That's the object. That's why they call them hydroplanes.
Yeah, but I'm not so worried about them. I'm worried about like a fat guy like you who can't get out of the way fast enough when one of these things comes. So I'm guessing that the boom section are going to be
600 feet.
Okay.
600 feet. And, it's obviously they've run this series for so many years, and there's so much that's put into the execution of safety, and certainly, and the one thing I will say about this, if you ever, in watching the videos, they don't go very far. Once they get airborne.
Yeah, they come down pretty quick.
They come down, and they don't have a glide factor either.
They go like this, they go straight up, and they come back around. Yeah, you're right. They crash within a 20-foot section.
Yes, exactly.
And what does that got to feel like when you feel like, I don't think I hear anything anymore?
Did you see the video where the Oboyoberto, the Miss Madison, did a full 360, landed upright and continued to race? Did you see that?
No.
Imagine being the driver at 180, you go airborne, you rotate 360 degrees in a boat, land upright, and continue to...
And the engine's still going.
Continue to go.
Talk about high heart rate.
Oh.
They should call you the winner just for that alone.
It's an incredible video. It's in just about every promo reel you'll see.
You'll see. Yeah. Now, I did see you guys posted and I don't know whether it was like a water warning or it was just part of your map. But
map.
Yeah, they actually showed the map where the course will be.
Yes.
And that is different than where I thought you guys would be more out and going toward the dam.
Right. A lot of people think that. No, it's actually right in front of Granite Bay.
The ramp, yeah.
Right in front.
So the good part is, and so I was, after I left last weekend, I'm like, damn, if these guys are going to be out kind of in the middle going toward the dam, how are you going to see anything from the dirt?
Yeah.
But now where you guys are kind of tucked right in there on that ramp, you're going to be able to see everything.
And the interesting thing, Jeff, what's happened is the lake level the lake elevation was scheduled to be or forecasted to be at 460. So right now it's at 441. We can race as low as 420 because we've actually had a lot of people comment on that. There's not enough water in the lake. We've got plenty of water. But what has happened in the last 2 weeks is for that general admission ticket, the viewing is going to be incredible. I mean, we've got a mile of shoreline for people to bring their easy ups, their chairs, their lawn chairs, umbrellas. They've got you can have a little lakefront hospitality right there.
On your own.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Is there any restrictions? Can they bring in their own? Can they bring an ice chest? Or?
Yeah, well, good question. They can bring in small ice chests. No booze, no bottles.
Okay.
Certainly, they can bring in easy ups. They can bring in. We encourage it. Obviously, sunscreen.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So yeah, absolutely.
And you have to have a ticket before you come to the park.
Got to have a ticket. You have to be wristbanded before you come and make the entry into the park, and they can get those just about a mile. Right on the corner of Auburn, Folsom, and Douglas Boulevard, you can pick up your tickets. You also can get them right now online, and we also have our ticketing whole structure will be set up Monday morning right there at 7150 Douglas Boulevard.
Are they doing any tickets here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you're coming out here today too, you can get it.
I wanted to make a comment on something I think about. They said Talon was third in the world, and you said being third at anything. I got third at that indoor kart track. Does that count?
For the whole nation or just for your group?
for the whole group. I mean, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Third in the world.
You can come back and pay your entry fee again.
Turn his microphone off. He's lost his damn mind. Yeah, that's right. So one of the things we didn't talk about last weekend, which I think is equally important, is the business side of this.
Yes.
This is show is called Talkin Money, and I always like to point out, despite that guy's best efforts to get us out of here, is I always like to point out that the magnitude of an event, of any event. Now we're here at Hangtown today, and the magnitude of an event of trying to pull it together, and the money and the time and effort it takes to pull it together, but just the magnitude of what goes on around here. I mean, a lot of people are local, but a lot of people came here aren't local, and they've traveled in. They're staying at hotels. They're buying gas and they're moving their things in. Blah 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 blah. And it's such a huge event. what are you guys expecting? What do you see? I think after the show you'd mentioned like every hotel around has been booked, and they were like calling you, going, "Oh my God, we've never been booked in our life." So what are you guys?
That's an interesting point. We've been here since 7:00 this morning, and we have talked to hundreds and hundreds of folks already coming through, and I was surprised even at Hangtown how many folks come from out of the area.
Yeah.
But having said that, you're right. The economic impact that both Hangtown and Big Wake Weekend will bring to this area, and it's just not the Folsom area. Certainly Folsom, Rancho Cordova, Granite Bay, El Dorado Hills, and Rockland and Roseville. I mean, for us, when we got a call 2 weeks ago from one of the largest properties in the Roseville and saying that they've sold out, and it was like just all thank you. And I mean, and you know this. I mean, everything from the convenience stores to the bars and restaurants to the grocery stores, the economic impact that this event will bring, and certainly that Hangtown brings, and you parlay that with Big Wake Weekend. I think you're going to have some people have some real nice bottom lines here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's just. I just think that people and they don't have to look at it. That's not their job to look at it, but they're so critical. And I always, and people always ask us, why you guys always go out to Hangtown and why do you do these things? Well, I grew up out here, coming out here. I came out here every weekend forever. But B is I'm such a huge fan of people, investing money and bringing an event to town and getting a return on their event and making it something real nice and all the little businesses around will get something out of it, and it's so important for our communities to have these events, because I want someone else to go to Big Wake Weekend and go, that was cool, and I'd like to do something different, but big.
Right.
I'd like to come up with our own event another weekend and see these things expand. So every other weekend we had something cool going on. It would be
right.
Oh.
And I think and that is the one thing. And I mean, what we're experiencing on our social media end of things is it's really nothing short of incredible, and I use that word a lot, but to that point, people from all over, Jeff, all over. I think I mentioned it last week. We have a gentleman coming in, a group coming in from Amsterdam, Holland.
Jeez.
We have a lot of folks coming down from the Seattle area, or at least I think they are still.
Yeah. They're coming down pitchforks and a bat.
Exactly. So, but yes, and the great thing is, and just I see one of our sponsors up here right now. I mean, we have the amount of corporate sponsorship we have for a one-time, first-time event. And we mentioned this last week. Sacramento's one of the top 20 major media markets in the country. We've got people like Heineken and Red Bull and Coca-Cola and Toyota and Nationwide Insurance. And those are equity brands.
Yeah.
In addition to the Roseville Auto Mall, who's been great, and I don't mean to sound like a sponsor ad here, but we can't do those events. We can't do an event of this magnitude without the support. And so I think people will see that when they come out there too.
And we look after you gave me one of the T-shirts from last week, and I looked at that shirt and I was like, how come our company logo's not on here? I mean, so local companies who are looking around, at these events have got to say, who's coming out to the event? I mean, what is the not the participant, what does a spectator look like? And is that someone we would want to be our customer?
Right.
And we're in the mortgage industry. We want everybody to be our customer.
Right.
But people that come out to the boat races, generally are the people you'd want to have as customers.
Right.
I mean,
and if I may, the interesting thing about this particular, I mean, we have with social media the way it is, and with, talking financial here, the demographics, we have access to so many different metrics now and analytics. It's amazing. And for Big Wake Weekend, what we looked at a week ago, from 25 to 55 years old, it's almost even in those three segments. It's across the board. What was more amazing than that, 2% was the difference between the men and the women. So it's not, I mean, I think really what we're seeing is almost more of that whole festival vibe. I mean, the boat racing, yes, is going to be great, but it's really, there's so much more. And I mean, for us, we were thrilled to have certainly the women skew that heavy, because it shows that we've got a really broad-based demographic.
Yeah, it does. Let's see, what time are we at here? We got to take another quick break. So Big Wake Weekend is May 31st, June 1st, June 2nd.
Yes, 2 weeks.
If you remember anything, is get your tickets in advance.
Get them in advance.
And I think, did you mention, so Sierra College you can park,
Sierra
right?
College you can park, and you can actually get your wristbands at Sierra College.
Okay.
Again, the major ticketing office is at 7150 Douglas Boulevard starting Monday. So that's right next to the Bank of America, right on the corner of Douglas Boulevard and Auburn Folsom Road.
There's a Arco AMPM gas station on the corner.
Yes.
There's B of A. There's a little strip center there.
Yeah, a little
so are you guys in that?
Yes, we are, and we're right on the road. It's going to be a big red and white tent. Cannot miss us.
Okay. So right there at the corner of Sierra College and, Auburn Folsom.
Yes.
And Douglas. So,
yeah.
Well, we appreciate it very much.
It's going to be great, Jeff. I appreciate having you guys have me come out, and certainly look forward to watching you guys out on the boom. Keep your head low.
Yeah, okay. Keep your head down. Your head down. All right, we appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much,
Chris. We got to take another break. We did get a quiz winner, by the way, to the $190 million home listed for sale. I like to call it the Richardson Estate, if you will. That was in Greenwich, Connecticut, is where that property is located. So did get a winner on that. We got to take another quick break, and we'll come back for our final segment of the day. This is Talkin' Money. We are live at the Hangtown Motocross Classic, Prairie City Off-Highway Vehicle Park in Rancho Cordova.
We're filling up here.
It is filling in quickly, and although that's the nice part about here, if you don't like where your seat is, get your butt up and move.
Right.
You can walk around. This isn't like Supercross. You're stuck to it, so you can walk anywhere you want, fill in, and do what you want to do. This is Talkin' Money. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Money!
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. Our final segment of the day.
Live from Hangtown, Prairie City. A lot of activity out on the motocross track. Guys are flying everywhere.
Really appreciate Talon Volan coming in and Bob Richardson from the Big Wake Weekend. And I just, if Talon walked right by you, third in the world in Europe and in the United States.
In the world.
In the world, right, in both races. So here's the schedule if you want to know what's going on today. I finally found one here. So most of what we've been seeing right now has been practice. So there will be a consolation race right at noon, which means those that didn't already qualify can get in. Opening ceremonies is at 12:40, and 450 class moto number 1 is at 1:11. So that's the big boys. They're going off there at first at 1:11, and they go the 250 class, and then they do have a women's moto out here for 1 and 2. So they actually have 3 different groups going out today, and everything should wind up right around 6 o'clock. So good afternoon. Heck of a value for you for your ticket, as I mentioned right before the break there. Most of the seats that we're underneath where we're sitting right here are pre-sold or VIP seats, but come out, bring a ice chest or bring a chair, and you can fill in a place anywhere you want. You can bring an easy up as long as it doesn't block somebody else's view. And you can get, literally right on the course. You can walk right into some of these sections and walk right up to the race course and see how fast these guys are blowing by you. And so we enjoy that, and we always enjoy our time out here as well. I threw out a few things there before the break. One of them was that house in
Connecticut.
In Greenwich, Connecticut. Now, certainly prices are rising. That's a little bit. $190 million. I picked up this. This is one that I thought was interesting. 3 Russians they listed the top 5 home sales in the United States for price. Number 1 was a private sale for a house in Woodside, California, for $117 million. Number 2, 3, and 4 were all Russian. Russian investor Yuri Milner bought a place in LA in Los Angeles or Los Altos Hills for $100 million, and then Russian billionaire Dmitry Robolev, I believe it is, him and his daughter bought 2 places, one for $95 million and one for $88 million.
Wow!
And that's a lot of money for a New York condo. And he bought Donald Trump's oceanfront Palm Beach house for $95 million, which I'm sure was pretty cool looking place.
Pretty nice.
So I don't know if your house is quite that price yet, but if you haven't looked lately, and this is why I've been running a couple different ads that target 2 things. One of them is that for many of you who have been sitting around just lamenting that you can't get out of your house to move up to something else, you're ready to move, and yet you just don't feel like you can do it. If you're not paying attention, you might want to start. Because you look at, this is out of Thursday's Sacramento Bee, so I'll hold it from a distance, John. Everything in blue is a price increase And except for the dark yellow, that's a little bit of a decrease. Everything else has been a price up. So the whole map's pretty much blue. You look around and you're looking at prices that have been up from, at least 15% to more than 50% median home price in that zip code. You have to look around and ask yourself, okay, is it time for me to move? And I contend that even the price that you think your house can sell for is probably low.
So here's my story, real quick.
Yep.
So house in Orangevale goes for sale. They list it $20,000 over what they thought they could get for it.
Okay.
They got 5 offers in the first day, sold it on day 2 for $25,000 over what the $20,000
over the 20.
Yes. Did not appraise. Buyer said, don't care, want it, done. House sold real quick.
Yeah. So here's the beauty for the rest of us that didn't own that house and got $45,000 too much. I shouldn't say too much. $45,000 over what.
That'd be worth it next month.
Yeah.
As far as appraisals go.
Yeah. So I mean, this is all the neighbors to that gentleman or that person should go over there and shake his hand and say thanks, because now if I want to sell my house, if it's a similar size house and I want to sell my house for that price, I don't have to find somebody who can come up with an extra $45,000, because that and one other transaction that will have set a new market, a new bar for me. Now I can put my house in the market, and now somebody else can come in and buy that with 3 or 5% down. They don't have to come in with an extra $45,000, and that is what's happening. You're seeing just light year leaps and bounds, jumps, and what's going on. And so you say, okay, I don't want to sell, Jeff. I only bought a few years ago. Well, I ask you, pull out your mortgage statement if you would, and look at your mortgage statement. Are you paying, as part of your monthly payment, are you paying what's called PMI or mortgage insurance or monthly mortgage insurance? Because if you are, I mean, look at that. If they break it out, that number is probably $100 to $200 to $300 a month, depending on how much your mortgage is. May not be necessary anymore. Maybe time to so if you're on an FHA loan and it's newer loan, you cannot. There's a 5-year minimum on those, so you cannot get rid of the PMI without refinancing. But if you have a decent rate and you have a conventional loan that has PMI, you might check with your existing lender, check with the servicing department, and ask them, what do I have to provide you? What evidence can I send you to remove the mortgage insurance from my house? And they're all, some of them are written a little differently, but most of them are fairly standard. That once I actually think it's 78%.
78%.
You have to prove, so about 22% equity, and that can be a combination of that you've been paying the loan down and the house went up. And most contracts are written for at least a year, if not 2, on the mortgage insurance. So so look at it, but ask, what is it? What do I have to do? Because if all you have to do is spend $425 to get an appraisal done and get rid of $200 a month, well, I don't know if I can do the math on a couple fingers. That's a fairly decent deal.
Even if it's $100 a month.
Yeah, that's a fairly decent deal. And you're not forced to refinance. You don't have to. But certainly, if you're somewhere in that, I'm at 5% or high 4s or 5, and you could drop maybe a point and drop the PMI at one time, then maybe it's maybe the double whammy there is worth taking a look at. I'm not going to say it's easy to get rid of the PMI, because
it's not.
Let's be honest. The mortgage insurance is not covering you. It's not insurance if you die and the mortgage you paid. It's insurance if I'm the lender and you die and I don't get paid the lender. So the lender is going to be giving up a right or giving up a protection that they don't really want to give up. So it's not going to be the easiest thing to do. But if you keep on them and find out what the proper procedures are, by law they cannot ignore you. So take a look at it. And I would say that if you're using, to determine your value, if you're using Zillow.com or something like that, I would maybe add 5% to what it says, because remember, it's a month to 45 days behind.
Right. Correct.
And so that's not exactly up to date. It's close. But
or call your realtor of choice and ask them to do a comp on your house.
Yeah, there you go.
Different options for you.
There you go.
Or do both.
So that'll help you. But something to think about as a way of saving yourself some money without having to go through all the refinance costs. If you've got a decent rate and you don't want to do that. So hopefully that will help you out a little bit. And here's the double whammy if you could do it. If you're paying mortgage insurance now and you can get rid of it, how about keeping your payment the same? Keep sending your lender the same amount of money. Take that $150, $200 a month and turn that 30-year loan into 23, 22 years, somewhere in there. Because you're doing it anyway, right? I mean, you're just going to get rotted away somewhere else.
And it feels better doing it now that you have the equity position.
Yeah. Well, you talk about increasing your equity position. If you're now at 20%, go ahead and start putting an extra $200 a month on there. You'll be at 30% before you know it. And so it is a good way of kind of forced savings. Tell the lender, hey, you know what, keep my payment the same. Apply the difference to principal. Get rid of the PMI. I'm good with that. So that'll be very helpful for you. Look at the text line at 441140 from the 916. Jeff, do you know how to get rid of a tax lien, or do you know how to get a tax lien taken off your credit once it's released? Yeah, there's a couple ways. First off, you should have been provided a release from franchise tax or the IRS or whoever the authority was that liened you. They should also be recording a release for you. Now, I'm saying should.
Right. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. I'm
saying should. So that doesn't always happen. But make darn sure that you get the paperwork in your hand, because, correct me if I'm wrong, public record, does that factor into credit score?
No, but it's an underwriting option that they look at.
But for somebody who maybe is not in the middle of underwriting right now, so you could take the release down to your county on your own and say, hey, I got this release from whomever, and I'd like to have it recorded and released. But keep a copy of it if nothing else. But it is. I appreciate the question, because what happens is people just in tax liens that people are a little more sensitive about. But any sort of a kind of a lien or collection, John forgot his cable bill and he sends some guys $50 and they say, okay, yeah, you're good, and paid off. But he doesn't follow up and say, send me something. I need something in my hand, because they don't want to. They don't want to spend the time doing it. Please keep track of those things.
Yeah, many times it gets missed being recorded.
Yeah, or it doesn't get reported to the bureau properly. So you need to keep track of those things on your own and get them released, because it is. I've seen more of it lately that. Straggling issues, people who are currently doing very well, but straggling issues that were 4 or 5 years ago that kind of quote unquote got forgotten, are the things that drive underwriting crazy. When it doesn't matter whether you're getting an auto loan, a home loan, a business loan. Someone looks back and goes, dude, this thing is hanging around for 5-6 years. What are you doing? Oh, I forgot all about that, or I paid it off, but they never sent me any paperwork. Well, how hard do you think it's going to be 6 years later to get it tracked down? It's impossible. So you got to be diligent on those things, because that is just, it's your credit and your livelihood. If you are interested in, let's see, here we go, short sale. So if you're looking at a short sale or you have done a short sale, this has been another point of contention lately. And I'm glad to see that somebody is doing something about it. So Senator Bill Nelson, a Democrat out of Florida, has asked for an investigation and a possible crackdown on the manner in which short sales are impacting consumer credit files. And what this means is that right now, many companies are reporting a short sale the same way they'd report a foreclosure to you, and that is unfair. Someone who goes to a short sale the proper way did not lose their house to a foreclosure, and they did what they were asked to do, and they followed the proper procedures. So if you're doing a short sale, it should not report as a foreclosure. Now, it may be looked at by the lending community the same way as far as the waiting period as a foreclosure, but it is not. So there's Senator Bill Nelson out of Florida is actually going through an investigation and a crackdown on with the credit bureaus to get short sales reported properly. And so we'll see how that follows along. That will make a big difference, too, on your credit. So that's good news. Last little bit, this is very good news. I don't know if you saw this, John. The percentage of loans of which foreclosure actions were started during the first quarter of 2013 is at 0.7%. That is negligible compared to almost 27% of the pre-2010. So what that's telling us is the mortgage underwriting has gotten a whole lot better, and we're all feeling it. But it's also good for our industry. So that music means we got to go. Chris is telling me, wrap it up, dummy. We are at Hangtown. I appreciate everybody coming up and saying hi today, and enjoy yourself out here if you would. Bring some sunscreen, bring some bottled water.
Come see all that's out here.
And we'll be back in the studio next week, and I get to sleep in a little bit finally. So you can find this show on rebroadcast if you want during the week on our Facebook Talkin Money page or JeffTarbell.com. My name's for John Potorero, my buddy Pete, all the guys at the Big Wake Weekend, and for Talon Volan, my name is Jeff Tarbell. We're going to wrap it up and get out of the tent here and walk around and catch a little bit of racing. So appreciate it. Had a good time. Hope you did too. We'll see you at the Big Wake Weekend maybe in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
And congratulations, Sacramento. You guys deserve a lot of hard work. Congratulations to keep the team. We'll see you next week, everybody. Be cool. Aloha.
Talkin' money.
Orb has a real shot at the Triple Crown. Follow the action live this afternoon at 2.
You're looking at Lucky in the Preakness. Photo finish. I'll have another.
The Preakness Stakes, live on CBS Sports 1140 today.